Morning, everybody. Welcome. Morning in the Valley. It is Wednesday, October the 1st. We are officially knocking on the door of go time. November the 3rd is ground zero for the 2025-26 season, and we are officially a month away. 33 days to be exact. But boy, just October. Just one turn of the calendar, and it's like, all right, now it feels really, really real. And I can't wait for that. All right, we come back. Coming up today, we will continue our preseason previews from around the Missouri Valley Conference. At 9:30, we will talk with the play-by-play radio voice of the Drake women's program, Hunter Phillips, as a new look Bulldog team this year after one of the greatest of all time to roll through the Knapp Center in Des Moines. And Katie Dinnebeer has graduated and moved on, one of three very impactful seniors for that Drake team a season ago. So a new look Drake team. We'll talk with Hunter about that in just a couple of minutes. We will be joined by JW Cox. He is the radio play-by-play voice for the Northern Iowa Panthers, who certainly have a lot of high expectations, a lot of returnees back from a season ago. And so Ben Jacobson going to try to get his team back to the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2016. So we'll talk with JW coming up in just a couple of minutes. Glad you are with us today. If you have not done so, please head over to YouTube and subscribe to the program for free. Comment, share, like, all that good stuff. We've got all of our preseason breakdowns that we've done, all our past shows, interview clips, and so on are all there. So I hope you'll be able to check us out over at YouTube on Morning in the Valley. Here on Morning in the Valley, finally, on Monday, shortly after we got off the air, we finally figured out what the preseason poll was. The folks in St. Louis released it to the world. They released part of it. This was one of those, I was like, I didn't really ask questions. Maybe I should have. It was more of just, it didn't probably matter what the answer was, but we got the top five. And that was it. And probably no real surprise was the five. Ultimately, you could probably quibble if you wanted with the order of the five, but it's Illinois State, it's Northern Iowa, Murray State, Bradley, and Belmont 1 through 5. That is all the league opted to dish out. So as far as we know, SIU and Drake and Valpo and UIC and Evansville and Indiana State, it's a tie for sixth. And we'll just leave it at that. Don't know why. Don't really care for it. It's like, just give us the whole list, but 'tis what it is. But those are the top five. Really the only thing that probably jumped out to me in terms of a surprise from the poll was, look, Illinois State won, no surprise. That has been preordained since the end of March. UNI being 2, not a surprise, preordained since they announced, hey, we've got 11 guys coming back. Sort of the same process of Illinois State, just outside of, look, we have 3 all-league guys coming back. 2 of them are from Illinois State. 1 of them is from Northern Iowa. Okay, those 2, it's fine. You felt like the race really began at 3 and beyond. The part that shocked me out of I believe there was 44 first-place votes, is that Murray State received 4. Now, it didn't matter if they received 1, if they received 40. Like, I was just shocked anybody went colored outside the lines because I did not and went with someone other than Illinois State and other than Northern Iowa, because those 2 were just, again, the preordained top 2. And for anybody and for voters, they were allowed to vote for their own schools. So this wasn't one of those cases where you're like, all right, when there's a runaway number 1, but you can't vote for your own guys, and you see the other team that's got 2 first place votes, you're like, oh, that's who the favorites picked. This wasn't the case. So I am shocked that there were teams out there, or that there were voters out there, coaches, sports information directors, some selected media that opted to go for the Racers. Look, they have, and I feel like this is the conversation that they have as high a ceiling as anybody, but it is all unproven down there right now in Murray, Kentucky. And I was shocked that with the 2 teams, with the pedigree that they have, that this giant question mark in Murray, which could end up being something amazing, still got this much preseason respect on October the 1st, September 29th, whenever it was that the poll came out. But either way, again, once you got past 1 and 2, you got Murray, you got Bradley, you got Belmont. You feel like you got Drake and Southern Illinois in some combination there. Obviously, we see 3, 4, and 5, but that 3 to 7, 3 to 8 range just kind of feels like there's a toss-up in a lot of ways, because there is a lot of depth in this league. We're going to see if there's top level depth, top tier depth, but we finally got the poll 1 through 5. There you go. Illinois State, the preseason selection to win the Missouri Valley Conference. Monday, the Field of 68 held their Missouri Valley Conference Media Day, talked to all the coaches. You can find that on YouTube at the Field of 68's page. It's 3.5 hours long. Not a lot of huge ground broken by any stretch with any of the coaches. A lot of just, Jeff Goodman, Rob Doster, as much just exploiting relationships and trying to get some dirt on the coaches and have them tell some good stories. But the one I thought the most, I don't know if it was really necessarily newsworthy, but we haven't heard from Commissioner Jeff Jackson in a little while. And so to get to hear his sort of thoughts on conference expansion, he is all for it. He wants it yesterday, or conference expansion, tournament expansion, wants it yesterday. The Indiana State got squeezed out 2 years ago. Obviously, Drake got in last year, but if they had lost on Sunday in St. Louis, no doubt that it would have been holding your breath for a week to see if they would have gotten in. So he was all about it. So we got to go. We need it to expand soon. It's not going to be this year, maybe as much as next year. Jeff Goodman from the Field of 68 also had some questions about the spring meetings, and I thought there was some interesting points made here by the commissioner. So here's Jeff Jackson with Rob Doster and Jeff Goodman.
Jeff, what at Missouri Valley meetings, what was the biggest hot button topic that wasn't involving NIL? Was there something among the coaches?
We spent a lot of time. We spent a lot of time trying to figure out how we get multiple teams into the tournament. That was probably the thing that we spoke about the most with our coaches and our athletic directors in the spring. Whether that is how we schedule, not only when it comes to our non-conference competition, what we do in conference, how we're looking at our tournament, Arch Madness that we play in St. Louis. We brought Kevin Plaga in. We brought Joe Lenardi in to have conversations. And again, those guys are so good with the metrics, so that they're able to, impart some information that isn't subjective. Hey, stats are stats, again, now you can do certain things with numbers, but a lot of things in numbers, they just are what they are. So we spent a lot of time just trying to figure out, how do we get better? How do we make sure what we've been able to accomplish? Because we've been really fortunate. We've been a conference that over the last couple of years, people have been talking about, because we've had that one team. 2 years ago was Indiana State. Last year was Drake having exceptional seasons. We certainly would like to grow into an environment in which we've got 2 or 3 teams having that type of success at the same time. And so we're spending a lot of time trying to figure out how we can help our campuses create that type of synergy, and at the same time be in a position to take advantage of it in terms of what we do in a non-conference space, what we do during the course of the season, and certainly what we do in Arch Madness.
All right, that was Jeff Jackson. The bottom line is, and they've said they put these scheduling principles in. They've tried to make everybody play 4 Q1, Q2 games to bolster the non-conference as best as possible. Ultimately, and that's what I'm afraid about this year, is that we've got a lot of good teams in the league this year. There's just no question. And I'm afraid what's going to happen is you're going to get a situation where 15-5 might win the league because there's just everybody getting beaten up. You need that rabbit. You need somebody to go 19-1, 18-2. Sort of like last year, Bradley was kind of right behind Drake. I think they ended up 17-3. And then you just got to hope you have enough in the non-conference to get you there. But it's the never-ending quest. And certainly in Jeff Jackson's mind, we add 8 teams to the tournament. It's going to provide opportunities, no guarantees, but opportunities, any better opportunity for a second team from the Valley to get into the tournament. But we have to wait at least another year for that. All right, time to go back now to our preseason previews. And we're going to start now with the Northern Iowa Panthers, who are getting ready to celebrate season number 125 in their proud history. A season ago, 20-13 overall, 14-6 in the Missouri Valley Conference. That was good for third place in the Valley, as they were upset in St. Louis by Valparaiso, who made that run to the semi 64-63 on Friday. And then in the opening round of the NIT, fell to SMU 73-63. But Illinois State has gotten all of the, I say all, a vast majority of the preseason hype of, boy, you got everybody back and you guys are loaded and you're going to be able to make a run at this thing. And I just feel like for whatever reason, Northern Iowa has just been able to lurk in the shadows a little bit. And don't forget, they got just about everybody back. They lost some big pieces off of last year, but 11 back, including second team all Missouri Valley Conference performer Trey Campbell. And so Ben Jacobson ready to go here in season number. It feels like he might have been there 125 years. Not quite that long, but 125 years in Northern Iowa basketball. Let us welcome in our guest today. He is the radio voice of the Northern Iowa Panthers. He is JW Cox. There you are, my friend. How are you this morning?
Doing great, Jeff. How are you?
I'm doing great. All right, we've got 7 months now in the rearview mirror, coming out of St. Louis off a 2013 season, 2013 season. What? I know you get picked off by an 11 seed in the quarterfinals on Friday. It's a rough taste in the mouth. But when you look back at last season as a whole, what's the general feeling, nostalgia-wise, looking back at it?
I'm always going to remember how the team battled through the adversity of losing the two starters that they did in the course of the season. R.J. Taylor right off the bat in conference play in the very first conference game to an ACL, and he was done for the rest of the year. And then Leon Bond later on against Indiana State missed a good chunk of the rest of the conference season at the end of that. And that's not even to say Cale Schmidt, who was a transfer last year from a Division III, who did end up playing more, and he was big and almost helped power the comeback against Valpo in that game at Arch Madness. He didn't get to start the season playing as much as they thought he would. There were a lot of missed and lost games for the Panthers. And again, everybody deals with injuries. But I think when you talk about the nostalgia of last season, it's going to be how the rest of the team handled that, and we're still able to be with 3 games to go in conference play, basically an overtime loss at home to Drake from being in the top spot in the Valley in the regular season. And so I think a lot has to be said about the guys that were still there. A lot of that's the leadership of Titan Anderson and Jacob Hudson, and even the junior year of Trey Campbell. What those 3 were able to do as steady presences throughout. Huddy's another guy. When you lost to Valpo the first time, he wasn't at 100% either and missed some time. But the resiliency of what that team did, how the younger guys got better. And so I think that's what I'm always going to take away from that season is how, what could have been, sure, just like a lot of other teams deal with injuries, but the way they came together, grew, and had a shot at doing everything they still set out to do as far as winning a regular season conference title, even late into the year.
I thought look, it's the summer, it's basketball. Sometimes stuff kind of goes under the radar a little bit. I thought one of the biggest pieces of news from the summer was Ben Jacobson getting essentially a lifetime contract with Northern Iowa, that 5-year rolling deal. He's going into season number 20 in a world that is so, what have you done for me? Not even lately. It seems like, what have you done for me today? And sometimes you reach it. There's an expiration date, sometimes from fans and administration, sometimes from the coach, where it's just like, we've looked at each other long enough. We need some new real estate here. Why has this been such a successful relationship between Ben Jacobson and this athletic department and this university and this community that we are now going into decade number 3?
Well, I think you said the right word. It's a relationship between him and the administration, right? And he's talked a lot about the support that he gets from the university side and the support that he gets from new athletic director Megan Franklin. And that's a big part of why this happened now and why there's still the belief there. But I think you go back, Jeff, over Coach Jacobson's tenure. And yes, he will be the first one to tell you he wants to get this team back into the national tournament. He knows what they can do and how they can be a contender at that level. And the winning that folks around here are used to, have seen, and want to see again. And there have been regular season titles. You don't have to go as far back as the last tournament appearance for the Panthers to see that success on the floor. So don't get it twisted there. But what is more important, I think, and brings about this trust and this lifetime contract, if you call it that, is the relationships that he builds throughout his program. Yes, to those above him in the administration, but also all throughout the program, and then mainly key to his players, the types of players that he brings in here, the types of players that he gets to stay here now in the current climate of college basketball with all the transfers. I think that relationship word is why there is the trust in Coach Jacobson. The results are going to be there. I'm very excited about what this team can be on the floor, and coaches, that's why they show up. They show up to look at film and be better and win games. But the biggest part of that, you talk about the 7 months that we go, there's more time that they spend with these guys relationally than on the floor competing in the Missouri Valley Conference. And I think what he does and the culture that he has set over those 20 years, that's the reason why it's not stale, right? It's not stale. It's not at the level they want it to be as far as winning a conference tournament and getting to the NCAA tournament. Yes, everybody's still striving for that, but there is no staleness in his relationships to his players, in the culture that he's built in his program. And that's why that's the guy that you want at the head of your program.
2 regular season championships in the last handful of years, 2020, 2022, again, 2016, the last NCAA trip. Just from what you know of him, though, I mean, the NCAA, I mean, obviously that's the shiny toy. And when he's gotten in there, my goodness, they have had unbelievable success. How much does it just chew at him that it's been going on 10 years?
Oh, I mean, that's what you know about Coach Jake when you spend any time around him. He is an intense competitor, right? Like, he loves the relational side, and he wants to pour into these guys and make them better men. And he has with countless guys. A bunch of them got to come back as they celebrate and kick off the 125th season, had a big reunion and a big celebration. And so many guys back for that event that have gone on to do so many great things. A lot of them on the floor, right? Whether it's here, and obviously you've got AJ Green doing what he's doing, and you've got guys that have gone overseas and played the game at a high level. But then so many more guys either after that or guys that didn't continue playing that have done just such tremendous things in their lives. He loves that, but he also wants to put his team and this university in a position to succeed. I go back. The football team actually plays North Dakota, and that's his alma mater, and his head coach, Rich Glass, his son was actually the all-time leader in field goals made for the North Dakota football program, right? He played football instead of basketball. But I go back to Coach Jake when he started. Coach Glass's first year was the year before Coach Jake got there, and they did not have a great record. He was tasked with turning it around. Coach Jake gets there and becomes the point guard as a freshman, and by all accounts, a lot of his juice that he brought as a competitor is why Coach Glass started to turn that around. I know that's a great relationship that they've maintained throughout the year with his former head coach, but I think that was the first picture you saw of the competitor that Ben Jacobson is, and he has carried that throughout his time as an assistant and then eventually here to the University of Northern Iowa. And so he wears that on his sleeve, and yeah, it does gnaw at him. It was one of the first things he talked about at Media Day last year is getting back to that NCAA tournament, and so he's going to do everything in his power to make sure this team is in the right spot all the time to compete at the highest level and get back to where they want to be.
Not many departures, but some obviously big departures. Titan Anderson and Jacob Hudson leading the way there. When you look, I just describe Titan as just like, man, he was like first team all downhill team. Like, you just, how do you stay in front of this guy? Like, he's just played so hard. It was like, it just felt like a coach's dream in so many ways. Look, Jacob Hudson, 6'9", 6'10", whatever he was, you can't teach that kind of size, losing that in the middle, but just maybe almost from an intangible standpoint, what does the departure and the graduation of Titan Anderson, what the void that gets left with this program?
I think the leadership is going to be a question of the void that you have to fill. I think we've got the guys that can do it. I'm a huge believer. Trey Campbell's been here from my first year on, and I've seen what he's become both as a player and off the floor. And so I'm a huge believer in what he can do to fill that vacuum, but it's obviously a vacuum. Titan, you talk about all downhill team, but he was also the all heart and soul guy of a team. He's the type of competitor. He's the type of worker that you want all of your guys to be. And then Jacob Hudson, just in his work and his outlook towards the game and the way he went about his business, sometimes quietly, but as the last year went on, he got more and more fiery too. So you can't replace two guys, and you knew going into the year that they were going to be the guys. They were coming back. They were the seniors. They had the experience. And so you knew those were going to be the leaders. And so that's kind of the point where you go into this year and you think, okay, what does that look like? We knew what Huddy and Ty would look like as leaders, but what does it look like now to have other guys step into that role and how that team feels? And again, I'm very excited about what Trey Campbell can do in that. Leon Bond's a guy that, yes, what he can do on the floor and his skill and his ability, but his personality is something that I think a lot of people can gravitate towards, and the players will gravitate towards and will help lift this team. RJ Taylor, again, a guy that was hurt last year, but he's going to play a crucial position with the ball in his hands And his attitude, the way he talks about the game and sees the game, that's going to be contagious for everybody. So it's definitely a vacuum when you lose two guys like that, like Hudson, like Titan Anderson. But there are guys and pieces on this team that I think and believe can fill that vacuum real quick, and already have to a certain extent as they prepare for this next season.
We talk about the returners, and we'll just jump to the end about the guys that missed time last year with RJ Taylor and Leon Bond. What's sort of the health status you can offer? I mean, Bond missed a chunk, kind of came back and just gutted out the tournament to be able to play. RJ obviously had a more serious injury. What's sort of the prognosis for them right now? And will they be ready to go November 3rd?
Yeah, the beauty of Leon was, I mean, he had gotten to the point where he was almost ready to get back and, like you said, compete in that Arch Madness tournament. And so him being where he was then gave him a jump start on the offseason, right? Fully committing to getting getting that knee back in shape where it needed to be. So he's furthest ahead and most to 100%, like everybody would be and expect him to be. RJ's, you still have to then not only get the strength and be where you need to be from a health standpoint in your knee and your ligaments, but then you have to get the conditioning back and you have to get the spring back and the juice back. And some of that takes a little bit longer, right? Like the full year period, sometimes that you see. So he's ahead of that and he's ready to go and he's a part of everything that the Panthers are doing right now. But it's just getting back to that fully 100%. RJ can be the way we know RJ can be, handling the basketball, moving through traffic, springing up for some of those mid-range jump shots. So that's still going to come. It's close and it's going to get here sooner than later.
11 returners, certainly keyed by the two leading scorers that are returning, Trey Campbell and Ben Schweiger. And I would like to just congratulate Ben on getting the Schweigers out of the league, so there's no more confusion. He wins the naming rights, and Ben Schweiger. I don't know that I've said his name probably 100 times, and every time I have to it's not Schweiger, it's not Cooper, it's Schweiger. So I'm as happy
doing it how about in the scheme of the game when they're going against each other and they're going up and down the floor and you got a Schweiger on one side and a Schweiger. I mean that's just sense for the loop.
I just had to go, like I'm a member of the family. There's Cooper and there's Ben, and
we'll
just
exactly.
So, all right. So Trey being the all league guy, coming back, and again he was able to just be so. I feel like it's diminishing what he did, sort of calling him a second or a third wheel. But it was like when you had those seniors and those guys that were sort of the real forward facing guys with the program, and he could kind of just maybe lurk in the shadows and just kill you because he wasn't the number one guy in the scouting report. He's going to be the number one guy in the scouting report this year. How do you feel like he's going to be able to handle that?
I think what gives you confidence in how he will handle that well is when he wasn't in the shadows, it's because he was stepping up in big moments and hitting some of the biggest shots that the Panthers needed. Obviously, everybody's going to go to the buzzer beater as Titan goes downhill coast to coast against Illinois State and beats them. But so many times, whether it was a buzzer beater or just to swing the momentum of a game, there's a game against Belmont where he did that on the road and it was needed a shot in a big moment after they had taken a big lead and he comes up with it. Trey Campbell has that gene to step up and make the big shot. And so for me, if you're building on the foundation of that and not shying away from the moment and being the guy to welcome the moment, well, when there's more of those, right, it's not just the big moment at the end of a game or a crucial moment at a turning point in a game when they need you to be the guy throughout. And like you say, the number one guy on the scouting report, I have confidence that Trey's going to step forward and do that because of his abilities, because of his shot-making abilities. He can find his own shot as he weaves through traffic as well. He can certainly get open and knock down open set-foot threes, but I believe in his ability to find his own look, find his way to the rim. And then the other thing is he takes a lot of confidence and pride in what he does on both ends of the floor. And I don't think you can underestimate having success on one end and helping you out on another. We always talk about it, right? If you have a rough defensive day, sometimes you take that to the offensive side, or vice versa. If you're having a rough offensive day, it impacts the defense. I think the same can be true in a positive way, and it's definitely true for Trey. And he can be a lockdown defender. I thought it was one of the best defenders in the league, deserving of being on that team as well last year. And I'm pretty sure he's going to get there this year because, it's just there's going to be no mistaking it, no denying it. And so his confidence in what he's able to do defending on some of the best players on the perimeter in this league on one end of the floor is just going to buoy what he does on the other end of the floor and help the Panthers offensively as well.
11 returners, 6 newcomers. You got your field of football team over there this year. 3 freshmen, 3 guys out of the portal that sort of different pedigrees. You got Ishmael Doof out of NC State, Marino Dubravich out of Baylor, who got limited time, but young, big bodies. You're going to just roll the dice and hope that Coach Jake and the gang can develop them. And then a grad senior out of Concordia, an NAIA program, Tristan Smith, 6'6", makes literally every shot he takes. And out of those 6, and with the freshmen in those 3, is Tristan Smith the most immediate impact guy you think you're going to be able to lean on this year?
Yeah, I mean, you go with a guy who's, no matter what the level, right? And this echoes something Coach Jake talks about all the time. We've discovered here in the world of college basketball as it is that given the right player, the level doesn't matter, right? There's a lot that's going to transfer. And for me, I look at Tristan and 4 years of developing his body, developing his game to play at the NAI level and to play successfully there. That's what's going to make him ready to step in and the moment's not going to be too big for him, even though it's going to be a step up in competition, in arenas, in all of this kind of stuff. But the preparation that he's put in over 4 years, that's going to be huge for him to be able to step in and contribute. And physically too. I mean, he's just an absolute specimen of a guy who can do a lot of things for you. He can jump out of the gym. He can shoot, like you said. He can make just about everything he throws up there. He's seen big moments in NAIA playoff games. And so, again, yes, everything does level up when you get here, and we all understand that, and there's still a learning curve for anybody who makes that jump. But when you talk about most ready, I'm excited to see what he can do from day one, and I know they've been excited to have him around as a member of this team that's helping make everybody better with that experience that he brings to the table.
Yeah, almost 21 points a game, shot 68% from the field. You'll roll the dice on that for sure. Schedule wise, boy, I was reminded today when I was doing the homework on this, 7 home games, which is just fantastic in the non-conference. Still waiting on the conference schedule. Maybe we can get that before the season starts. 7 games, and then just you get 2 road trips to California that you kind of double up there with the Acrisure, where you're going to get Loyola and then San Jose or Tulsa. You're going to go return the game to UC Irvine. You go out to St. Mary's. Boy, the travel budget is slim, which is great for you guys. But what do you think overall? I mean, I think you're neutrals in a ways. I look at your schedule as one of the top teams in the league. It's all about metrics. What do you have to do to make the computers happy? You've got all Q3s and Q4s at home that you hopefully take care of business. And you got Q1s and 2s on the neutrals and on the roads that it's like it sets up. If you guys can handle things, I feel like it's going to set you up really well.
I think it's hard. You talked about it a little bit in your first segment there. I mean, it's harder and harder to do for Valley teams, but credit to this coaching staff and credit to everybody involved, right, on the other side too, because it takes 2 to tango there to get these games and keep these games on the schedule. But the best you can do is give yourself a schedule of opportunity. That's what I've got that in my mind, because that's what I've talked about with the Panther football team. And when you play in the Missouri Valley Football Conference, you're going to play some of the best teams in the country. And so it's always a schedule of opportunity there. For basketball, you don't get that guaranteed, right? You have your league opportunity, but then outside of that, you got to do some work to figure it out. And so, yeah, those games that you mentioned on the road, huge against Irvine. We saw how good they were here. We saw how good they turned out to be throughout the rest of the season. Same thing going up to St. Mary's. That's going to be a tough road environment against a team that by the time all is said and done is probably going to be a really solid metric team. And then, yeah, you don't know what you're going to get out of the 2 games in the Acrisure after that first one against Loyola Chicago. That's fun, right? It harkens back. We'll get 2 of those now. We did that against Wichita State last year, returning that. We'll get them here at home. And I know everybody's going to be buzzing for that game as well, which could be another game, right? Even though it's a home game, right? And you want to take care of business, that could be a positive metric impact game, right, depending how things go for the Shockers down the road. So that's what I look at it. It's opportunity. And then it comes down to how you can seize that opportunity. And it's credit to the coaching staff of getting this schedule done. I know the hard work that goes into that, and things happen and you lose games, or there's buyouts and all of that. And it's not necessarily what you think is going to be, but to come away with a schedule like this where you have the chance to go take care of business and hold your own fate in your hand and seize those opportunities, it leads for a lot of excitement. And we'll find out a lot about this team. I feel like we've said this every year that I've been here, right? I'm going into year number 4, and it's happened, I know, in years prior before I was here. But you're going to find out a lot about the Panthers and how they can compete, how tough they can be, and what they can be early on in this schedule. And that's just the kind of schedules Coach Jake builds. It's tough on the front, and then you should be ready to go for conference play.
Last question before I let you get out of here. We finally got the preseason poll part of it. You guys sliding in at number 2. That felt like where everybody would have pegged you on April 1st, here on October 1st, number 2. bullseye-ish? I mean, are we ready for the look? You're getting everybody's shot. You're Northern Iowa. That's just the way it's going to be. But the makeup of this team, you think they're ready to handle the burden of expectations?
Yeah, I love the makeup of this team because that's enough of a chip to put on their shoulder too, right? Like number two, I mean, what are you talking about? We're going to come back and you're right. Like, I mean, being picked in the top three in the Missouri Valley Conference is nothing to sneeze at, right? Like it doesn't win you anything, but it's just something that says, hey, there's respect and we know how good you can be. So you don't draw a lot of, they counted us out type motivation. I mean, we're not the Kansas City Chiefs here, right? Winning Super Bowls and then saying nobody believes in us, but it's a team that, yes, is ready for that challenge. They know that bullseye factor is there. A lot of these guys throughout their careers, whether it's other places, but certainly throughout their high school careers, are on very good high school teams. That's the fun part about a couple of these true freshmen coming in, the success that they've had playing basketball at the high school level. They've gotten that feeling before at that level, and so they know what that's like. And then certainly the guys that have been here for a couple of years, they understand what it takes to be the hunted and to be the team that's getting chased. And so I think the best thing that they've got going for them, and I know this about the guys that are coming back, whether they're the hunted team or the counted out team or
Did we lose them?
Same, no matter what's going on or no matter what the expectations might be. And this team, this coaching staff, they're committed to putting in that work, and that's going to put them in the best position to succeed against the non-con schedule that we talked about and against the conference schedule and all the way into March.
He's JW Cox. He is the radio voice of the Northern Iowa Panthers. Thanks for tearing yourself away from daddy duty today. And I'll let you go back.
You're still over there. That's good.
Still breathing. That's all we needed this morning. Yep. So, JW, thank you. We'll talk soon.
Appreciate you.
All right. There is JW Cox. You and I, number 2 on the board. They're going to be like I said, I can't wait to get to February 1st and just see how many men's teams are within 2 games with 8 to go, with 6 to go. Because I just think this is not going to be. I don't know that we're going to have a rabbit that's going to run away from the field and everybody's trying to reel in. I think it's going to be a collective group, and it's going to be a heck of a race once we get into February and rolling towards March. All right, time now to turn our attention to the women. And today we are going to talk about the Drake Bulldogs. Allison Pullman's bunch, 22-12 a season ago. 15-5 in the Missouri Valley. Their run getting to the NCAA tournament came to a close. They lost in the tournament semifinals to eventual champion Murray State. I watched a lot of basketball last year. I don't know how many better games I saw than 96-90. Katie Dinnebeer just going bananas in the semifinals, trying to extend her Missouri Valley career, but coming up short and then falling to Marquette in the opening round of the WBIT 74-69. And it is now a year of transition and change for this Drake program. And it's time now to welcome in the radio voice of the Drake women's basketball program. He is Hunter Phillips. Hunter, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Jeff. It's officially October, which means that we're going to have basketball here later on in the month. We have Drake Hoops Fest coming up tomorrow. And so whenever I get that text, that message from you to join Morning in the Valley, we know that basketball is on the horizon. So thanks for having me.
Happy to have you. Excited to be in October. Feels like we've been just biding time here the last couple of months, but it's ready to roll. All right. I guess the first question I've started with everybody, just looking back at last year, and again, just the end of an era in a lot of ways to lose a Katie Dinnebeer and an Anna Miller and a Courtney Becker, and for all they've done and all they'd accomplished. I imagine that the bitter sweetness at the end of a great year stung a little bit more, just knowing that chapter of Drake women's basketball was closing.
Yeah, Jeff, it did to a certain degree, because you just felt that even though things kind of slipped away there in the Missouri Valley Conference tournament, that they possibly could have had a decent run in the WBIT, especially playing their first game at home. But it wasn't meant to be. But at least they got to play their final game at the Knapp Center. I mean, there's no such thing as moral victories, right? But it was just for them to be able to close out in any kind of a postseason tournament. I think just said a lot about that group and each and every one of them now, what they're doing. Beyond their basketball careers, all in the medical field. I mean, it's just absolutely incredible. Katie's still on campus, finishing up her pharmacy studies, but Courtney Becker, she's already doing things, with her doctorate, and then Ashley Imes part of that senior class. She's going to be a podiatrist, and then Anna Miller's in medical school. So I think that's just, what this program is all about, being able to not only excel on the court, but then be able to get yourself in position and off the court. And so all the winning and all the things that they were able to accomplish, I think it just sets them up for great success, moving forward.
Student athlete, very underlined, highlighted, circled, and all that with Allison Pullman's program, which is awesome.
Yes.
How did she retain everybody? To lose one kid out of the portal, which, I mean, in this day and age, to just lose one, I mean, you just feel like you pencil in three, no matter what the team is across the country, and sometimes it's a lot worse than that. But to only lose one, how has she done that? How has she built a culture of retention there in Des Moines?
Well, Jeff, it's great timing on our part, because I actually had coffee with Coach Pullman yesterday, and it's in this ever changing landscape of college basketball, it's been one of the rarities for Drake that they have actually brought in more players than they've actually lost, and so I think there's the twofold of it. I mean, going back to the academic side of it, for a lot of these young women that come to Drake, it really is the study portion that is going to keep them bounded here. But there's just a unique togetherness about this, and Allison does a great job of not putting too much pressure on these players when they come in, and everyone gets an opportunity, right? And I think that is the biggest thing, because sometimes when a player doesn't feel like their voice is heard, or they feel like they're not put in a position to succeed on the court, that's where they want to go somewhere else to be able to shine a little bit. And so I think the unique thing and what we'll see this year with this team is that there are going to be multiple players that are going to be given opportunities. They're going to be given the green light to show what they're made of. And so, all these players, they're pretty much, they're very, very comfortable. They played like AAU basketball together. So it's almost just like a family. So I think that there are a lot, a couple of reasons, big reasons there why, Allison's been able to retain most of the players during this crazy, era of the transfer portal.
The departures are significant, obviously. Katie Dinnebeer, Anna Miller, Courtney Becker, all double-digit scores. Becker 10.5, Miller, at 6'3", two-time Defensive Player of the Year, averaging 14 a game. And then, I feel like every time you start looking for new ways to explain how good Katie Dinnebeer was, I shocked myself that this morning when I said since 1982. A women's player has averaged 23.4 points and 7.2 assists 4 times since 1982. And it's happened in each of the last 4 seasons. Last year, it was Katie Dinnebeer. The 3 prior seasons, it was Caitlin Clark, and Caitlin Clark. I mean, that is the highest of pedestals you can place Katie Dinnebeer on. I don't want to take anything away from Anna Miller and Courtney Becker and the impact that they had on winning and that program, but this is an all-timer. That Allison Pullman had to walk away and go off to do awesome things, be in pharmaceutical, all that pharmacy stuff. But what kind of just void? And we talked about Titan Anderson with JW a couple minutes ago, but what void is this going to leave out of this program with somebody that she gets off the bus? She looks like she could be your pharmacist, and she puts on a uniform and she will gut you and go nuts.
I don't think there are really enough words really to describe Katie and her overall impact. And no doubt, when you watch this team this year, you're going to be looking around. Where's number 10? Where's Katie? I mean, because she has just been such a mainstay. And so, the other week on our Be Blue podcast had Ava Hawthorne on, one of the returners, and really she wants to just carry on. Really that legacy that Katie and the rest of the seniors left. But for Katie, to me, I mean, I remember watching her in high school, and I know back in our earlier conversation, Jeff, that she was in the same senior class that Tucker DeVries was for Waukee High School, and they both won state championships. And the way that, I mean, she just lit up Johnston, who's a really good program here in Central Iowa, in the championship game. And here we are at Drake. We're like, man, yeah, this is just the beginning here. But the way that she was able to impact the game defensively, just to really set the tone, I think that she was really someone that Allison relied on to just be that leader and to just never. I mean, going back to that classic game there in Evansville in the MVC tournament against Murray State. I mean, when you have two of the best scorers in Valley history with Caitlin Young and with Katie Dinnebier, just the will. I mean, there, as long as there was time on the clock, like she was going to give it her all. And so, man, she's like you said, off the court, she's giggling, laughing. I mean, you just, don't let that smile fool you, because she is certainly someone that can make things happen. And I can't announce anything yet, but we're going to hear more from Katie on things here at Drake with our basketball program. She's always going to be a part of the program, but on possibly, hear the word here, that we'll hear from Katie this season for sure. So no, she's just one of a kind. And man, yeah, it's going to be really, really different watching Drake basketball without Katie Dinnebier on the floor.
How long till number 10's hanging from the roof of the Knapp Center? Is there a protocol? Do we have to wait so many years before she goes up there?
I mean, if it were up to me, it would be up at the home opener, no doubt about it. But I don't make the rules for it.
Okay,
there's a few other players that need to be up there as well. Becca Hittner, who's on the staff, Lizzie Wendell. There's a number of them, and that's just how fortunate we've been, here at Drake, to just see some really, really good players.
You mentioned Ava Hawthorne, the two top returners, Abby Alsma and Ava Hawthorne, the two seniors. It's a young team now. 4 freshmen, 4 sophomores, 2 juniors, 3 seniors, sort of flipping it back the other direction. But again, with those 3 graduating seniors that carried so much of the offensive load, and look, Abby averaged almost 10 points a game last year, but now it's, there's going to be more on her shoulders as well as Ava Hawthorne's. Are they ready, and are they prepared to carry more of that burden?
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, specifically 62% of the scoring from last season is gone. So Abby Alsma certainly is going to be one of those players that, look, she's going to have to be more of not just, maybe was kind of pigeonholed as a 3-point shooter. That's what she was at Illinois State, and a good perimeter defender. But she's going to have a bigger role as a point guard. I mean, I think it's going to be really kind of a rotating spot coming up this season. But I think that she's certainly she's well experienced, and she knows what it takes to be able to compete at a high level. So excited about her. And like I mentioned earlier, having a chance to chat with Ava Hawthorne, she's really confident, ready to go for this year. She's someone that I think early on last year, confidence, was kind of an issue, but then she was able to build off of that. Shannon Fornshell, another one of those players who I think has a really good opportunity to average, close to, I mean, she can average double figures a game and almost, probably 8 rebounds a game. She's got that potential. But I think that that's going to be the core there. Brooklyn Daly is going to have a bigger role as well. And so it's really going to be all hands on deck. And when I talked with Allison yesterday, she goes, she goes, the starting 5, that used to be kind of the mainstay, right? And a lot of people put focus on it. Not that she did, but just, kind of, I guess, the outside noise. She goes, it's going to be everyone. It's going to be everyone that, is going to play a critical role in our success this year. And I'm also excited to see, one of those young additions, Lexi Carlson. Her mom is on the staff. I've heard nothing but great things about her. She really likes the freshman class. Allison does. So, and Lexi, she led Northern Illinois in threes last year, played about 30 minutes per game. And you could tell that she is the daughter of a coach. I mean, she is just so well-grounded. When I talked to her over the summer, we have our, introductory, get to know the new dogs tour on our podcast. And she said, pressure is a privilege. And I'm like, okay, all right. I really, I can definitely, see where, her mom is a coach, and she just, she's just a gamer, and so that, along with the freshman class, I'm really excited to see how it's all going to gel together. That's what, this off season's been all about. But it's going to start with those seniors to, again, pick up the mantle that was left and just carry that torch and hopefully lead to some success here this upcoming season.
Yeah, it's a great. I don't know if we want to call it a package deal, but essentially a package deal with Lexi and her mom. Lisa was the head coach at Northern Illinois, and then both coming to Des Moines. You get somebody with head coaching experience on the bench there for Coach Pullman, but then a young sophomore who shot 42% from three in the MAC.
Right.
You'll take that and run for the hills. Schedule wise, I am just the scheduling quandary on the men's side. I am always just blown away by the women's side. And not that it's not hard to get a schedule together, but the names you're able to get on your schedule and the names you're able to get to come to your building and the amount of Q1 and Q2 games you guys are going to have this year, but in your building to have Iowa State coming in and Creighton coming in and Minnesota coming in, unbelievable opportunities. And, we talk about trying to get multiple teams in on the men's side. Boy, the women are, they have such metrically friendly schedules that if they can take care of some business, might be able to do it. What a schedule that Allison Pullman's got together here.
Yeah, I mean, it may be a different looking team, but one thing that remains, a consistent thing is that they're not afraid to really challenge themselves and to go up against a variety of programs. And I mean, you look at not only who's at home, but playing in Nashville in the non-conference tournament, an SEC opponent in Arkansas. And so having to play at Iowa and it's so, but I told Allison, like, last year, it just seemed like a lot of games were on the road. I mean, you have marquee matchups at home and she's like, yeah, we're really, really excited. Iowa State, whenever they've come to the Knapp Center, it seems like we've had a little bit of luck against them. And that I guess the last time they came into Des Moines, we were able to edge them. That was when Audie Crooks was a freshman, and now she's just becoming one of the best, forwards in all of women's college basketball. And so Creighton, they go from a team that had 7 seniors a year ago to like completely different looking, but really good program out of the Big East. There's a lot of familiarity between those two. And then Minnesota, the defending WBIT champions, Don Plitzowite was the head coach at South Dakota. And she really took it to Drake, and Drake, there were some really good battles there during that time, but she's got a really, really good squad there in the Twin Cities. And not to mention the fact that Drake will have to play at St. Thomas. They're going to be unveiling a new arena up there. So it'll be exciting to see that, having to open at Eastern Illinois, a team that was undefeated at home last year, top defensive team in the Ohio Valley Conference. I mean, there are no easy nights whatsoever. It's gonna make for just a lot of fun, in that short stretch from November to December.
Last question. No preseason poll on the women's side yet that I have seen. I don't think it has come out yet. Where do you think Drake will end up in the preseason prognostications, and what do you think their ceiling is with sort of this new look bunch this year?
Yeah, Jeff, I think it's tough to say, where Drake is going to land. I mean, and really in the Valley, I mean, it's kind of hard to peg, who's going to be where, because there's been some change. I mean, I think Murray State, certainly with the additions that Coach Turner's been able to bring in, they're going to be, exceptionally. I mean, they're going to be right up there. Belmont, you talk about the schedule they have. Bart Brooks, I mean, my goodness, when I saw that schedule, man. But he's got a really, really good team. So I think that Drake, is a top 5 team. UNI is going to be really good. Illinois State, they're always up there. I mean, again, they say the Valley runs deep. It really will be this year. Because I think it's just, again, it's up for grabs, and a lot of the senior scorers are, they're no longer here. And so now it's, you look at who's returning, and I mean, Murray State, to me, I think that they're probably going to be the favorite, but it's going to be just exciting to see how it unfolds. I told Allison, I'm like, I can't wait to see the conference schedule when it comes out. And, I'm ready. I'm ready for Valley hoops and just ready for tip-off, even though it's like 90 degrees here in Iowa. It doesn't feel like basketball weather. I mean, it's just been really unseasonably hot, but ready to go.
Hunter Phillips, the voice of the Drake women's basketball program. Thank you for the time this morning, and we will certainly catch up again very soon.
Appreciate it, Jeff. Thank you.
All right, thank you. There is Hunter. And yeah, I mean, I think he nailed it with the depth of the league this year, because there's just the top of the league had such great players last year. Caitlin Young at Murray State, Katie Dinnebier at Drake, Maya McDermott at Northern Iowa. And it wasn't just those, Ava Learn at Murray State and Anna Miller at Drake. Like, you lost chunks of kids and all league kids. And I think Murray's probably going to get the default number one, just from a standpoint of, they're the defending champs, they're the defending tournament champs. And there's 3 all-league players back this year, and they've got 2 of them in Hallie Polk and Haven Ford. So, I think that that will be the default. But it's going to be a fist fight again this year. And it was a great race last year, and I don't expect anything different coming up this season. All right, some scheduling news before we get out of here as I go to page 4. There we go, page 4. Lots of notes today. We have Belmont has finally gotten some news from the Coconut Classic in Fort Myers, Florida, November the 24th and the 26th. They finally have opponents, as they will take on St. Francis of Pennsylvania and then the winner of Troy and Toledo on the 26th. This is again, we've seen this at times this year where, the MTEs are just not what they were. And when you look at the Torvik projections, and, St. Francis is at 345. I mean, that's like bottom 20 team in the country, which, again, from a metric standpoint, awesome, because that's a team that, if you take care of business, it helps you out. But just in terms of going and getting one of those Power 4 schools on a neutral floor, you're just not getting it. Troy or Toledo. Toledo looks to be a middle-of-the-pack MAC team. Troy, Torvik's got them at 147. So, I mean, that's a top 150 game. One of those games that unfortunately is it dings you if you lose, but you probably don't get a lot of credit if you win it. But that's what Belmont will face. So they will, they finally have a full schedule. Now we know it's not just, hey, we're going to Fort Myers. We at least know who we're playing at Fort Myers, and it'll start off with St. Francis of Pennsylvania on November the 24th. All right. Finally, this morning, some more news out of the NCAA. Why not? This isn't, we're not trying to reinvent any wheels today, but the NCAA announcing that the 2028 women's Final Four will not only be in Indianapolis, but it will be at Lucas Oil Stadium. They're taking it to the Dome, and it will be the first time in it's been a minute since they have tried to play one of these in a dome, and it's basically been used as I think it is a showcase now. These things are planned out years in advance, but I think it showcases just how much the women's game has grown. They've played it, I believe it was at Gainbridge in Indy last year. I think it's been at Gainbridge recently, where the Pacers play. That holds 18,000. Now they're not going to do it like the men and put the court at center court and put 70,000 people in there. But they're gonna do it like, it was 2008. I guess I went to San Antonio in the Final Four. That was the Memphis Kansas overtime Derrick Rose Mario Chalmers game, and it's like they put the the court in one end, and then they kind of build out around it, and you ultimately can put as many people in there as tickets you can sell, but they're configuring it for 31,000, and the next 2 years, it's in Phoenix at the Suns Arena this upcoming season. It'll be a nationwide arena in Columbus in 2027. Both of those buildings hold less than 20,000. And so it becomes a supply and demand situation. And it's a balance of trying to grow the sport. And when you have such a limited supply of tickets, you only have 18,000 seats, it now becomes, and you have a product people want to see, it's expensive to get in the door, and maybe prohibitively expensive to get in the door. So to be able to go somewhere like, hey, let's spread our wings a little bit. Let's go to a place we can put 31,000 in. And now, as you continue to grow this, and you get moms and dads, and they bring their young kids in, and they try to grow the sport that way, I think it's awesome. And look, if they go in and they configure it for 31, and they're like, we have sold out in 5 minutes, yeah, they'll probably try to stick 35 in there. They'll probably try to, they will sell it, because again, they put it in one end, and you just think of it like the horseshoe, and it's the closed end. That's where the court is. And then the seats go up the side. Well, they're going to keep going. I mean, until they run out. I mean, that is pretty much, I would not be shocked by that at all. Now, do you have stars in the sport? I mean, I don't know that matters as much anymore. I think that might've mattered a few years ago. I think the sport is in a really good place. And I think people just want to see, I mean, it's just like It's just like the men's Final Four. People are buying tickets before they have any idea who's there. They're going. And I think that that's what that event has become now. And to be able to be like, you know what, 18, 20,000 seat buildings are just not enough. You don't have to go over your skis. You don't have to immediately go, hey, we're going to try and put 50,000 in here. And then you put 30 and you're like, we went too far. Just go to 30. And now we're full. Now we can go to 40 and we keep stretching that thing out. But I think it's a great thing for access to the game's greatest stage, because I just felt you just keep hanging in 18 and it's selling out instantly and all the secondary market stuff. And it's just, you can't go, you can't take your family, and those are the kids, you want this sport to continue to evolve and to grow and to just keep checking boxes moving northward. And I think this is a great move for that. So Indianapolis 2028, they did say that the other part of that was the first and second round pods, which are hosted by the top 16 seeds, 1 through 4 in each of the 4 regions, where they host that first 2 round games. That format will not change until at least 2031. That is probably the starkest difference between the men's and women's tournaments right now, is that, the men, they put them anywhere. They can fill those arenas pretty much wherever they want. They're still trying to make sure the home fans are there to fill those home arenas. And, if you're taking all 68 of the women's teams and scattering them all over, it may be tougher of a sell. They don't feel like they're quite there yet, but they'll revisit that here in the next handful of years. But that first and second round format will not change till at least 2031. Okay. That does it for today's elongated edition of Morning in the Valley. Thanks to JW Cox, our Northern Iowa. He's Northern Iowa's play-by-play voice for the men's basketball program. Hunter Phillips, the radio voice for the Drake women as well. Coming up on Friday, we will have a Valpo twofer with our friend Paul Oren from the Victory Belt. As he said, he'll be at practice tomorrow for both sides and get some boots on the ground access for both of those programs. And so we'll do our previews on those coming up on Friday. I believe a birdie has told me I am not going out on any limb whatsoever. I am holding on firmly to the trunk of this tree. But the conference schedule is coming. It's coming. Maybe Friday. Probably if it comes Friday, we won't have it by 9 a.m. when we go on. So hopefully that'll be on Monday. We'll be able to unveil that. But look, we are 33 days from the season. We need a conference schedule, but it's coming. It is coming. But I have reason to believe maybe Friday. So fingers crossed. Don't hold me to anything, but goodness, hopefully America's national nightmare needs to end. Thanks for watching today. If you haven't done so already, please go to YouTube, subscribe for free to Morning in the Valley. Just search it out. Former past shows, interview clips, all of our preseason segments are all there. Appreciate all of your support. Have a wonderful Wednesday, everybody. We'll see you Friday morning, 9 a.m. right here on Morning